Why do you have all these figures? What could you possibly be doing with all these toys? When Dom army builds, he's actually building armies to smash against each other. This video is going to focus on how I make an infantry platoon from everything from their equipment to their organization. My credentials for making a video like this? Well, I've been in the army for over 20 years, I've done a few tours in combat, and I've been a platoon leader and a company commander, which is in charge of several platoons. So I'll be applying that experience and my knowledge of doctrine to this video. Today's unit we're going to focus on are the Pixie company, specifically the infantry platoon. Pixies are a combined arms mechanized company. Mechanized simply means that the infantry aren't in motor vehicles that are wheeled, they're usually in tracked vehicles like APCs or infantry fighting vehicles, IFVs. They're also called heavy infantry, not necessarily because of the armor they're wearing, but because of who they're accompanying, heavy units like tanks. There's going to be some doctrine Nazis out there who are going to argue with me whether the tanks should be leading the infantry or the infantry should be leading the tanks. But here's my argument based on what's going on in Ukraine right now and from the units I've served with. It's both. There are times when the infantry need overwatch support from the tanks so they can go in and clear out certain positions like trenches. The main threat to the tanks are actually other infantry or anti-tank weapons, usually targeting their flanks or their rear. So the infantry act as a guard against those threats. Having no shortage of toys to choose from, I had to pick the right figures for this unit. And with my reality being more sci-fi based than modern military, heavy infantry actually has a different designator. More of that in a future video. I chose these G.I. Joe movie Duke figures because that medium armor, that impact armor, it doesn't add too much bulk to them. And when you pair them together with these Joy Toy Blackhawk figures, especially when you start interchanging the accessories, you can kind of blend the two styles together to make one uniform. My insane lust for uniformity has no bounds. I also wanted the unit to have matching helmets. What I ended up using were these Duke helmets and also the Blackhawk helmets, and again, just swapping them between the figures to kind of blend the two styles together. And as awesome as Marauder heads are, they're a little bit too big when it comes to using other brands' helmets. So I had to swap out and use this style.
Let me go ahead and beat the comments right now. Nice mismatched helmets, loser.
Okay, now it's time to get really nerdy. Could you just reach down there and hit that like button for me? Right there, it's just right there. As of the recording of this video, the US Army uses a squad with 2 teams of 4 soldiers. I took this task order from Battle Order, threw on Instagram and YouTube. It's a great channel for exploring unit task organizations, foreign, US, past, and modern. But I didn't want to use the Army layout. Instead, I looked at the US Marines.
See, it all starts with just one soldier. But you know, that soldier's gonna need a buddy. So now you're gonna need 2 soldiers, and that's a little team. But somebody's gonna be in charge of that team, so then you're gonna need a team leader. 2 soldiers and a team leader, maybe a fire team or an assault team or whatever you want to call it. But that's not enough, you're gonna need a little bit more. So you're gonna add another team in there too. Now you got yourself 2 teams. But you know, 2 teams pretty good for a base of fire, but let's bump it up to 1 more team. Yeah, there you go. But who's in charge of all these teams? Well, you gotta have yourself a squad leader. Now you've got a full squad. 3 teams of 3. You can tell their leader, they got a radio.
I like the 3 teams of 3 because it allows more maneuverability, and also I like having 3 leaders to help delegate that span of control. Big thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. We really appreciate all your support. It's going to services like streaming and editing and music that we're using to make these awesome videos. Thanks so much.
Now that we got everybody all dressed up nice, it's time to do the best part, the guns.
I would really like the rifles or carbines that the Blackhawks come with, but I didn't have enough of them to go around, and so I gave them to my Yellow Jackets. Being a big G.I. Joe collector, I had a lot of modern weapons like these M4s or any of these type of Car-15 carbines, any of these Colt variants, 249s, anything like that. But I didn't want to use any of these because they're too US centric, and I also, again, this is a sci-fi setting, so I wanted to break away from that modern lens. Those instead get issued to the less technologically advanced armies. Thanks for sticking around for this long. As a reward, go ahead and drop in the comments what unit you want to be able to see next. Heavy dropship infantry, maybe some Axie infantry, or maybe you want to see an armor formation. Let me know in the comments. Thanks.
Let's talk very briefly about hardware and application. So I've got these long rifles from Joy Toy and these shorter ones, little shorties here with a drum on it. I'm going to say these are carbines rather than a submachine gun because I need some carbines and not so many SMGs. Getting ready to go to Afghanistan. We have a brigade commander come in and tell us that the firefights are long distance ambushes. So rifles are really what you need for long distance ambushes, right? Ironically, that piece of crap M16 actually came in handy for distance firefights when you're being ambushed from mountaintops. Carbines and M4s have a much shorter range. The carbines, however, when we went to Iraq, the M4s are great for urban settings because it's short in barrel, you can get inside buildings, it has a higher rate of fire. For this platoon, they're going to have to be able to fill both functions, distance and short. So with the team leader, we're going to go ahead and assign that position with a long rifle because they'll be able to reach out and maybe they're going to fire and mark targets for their team. Also, I really love the Aliens pulse rifle, which is a carbine. And I am absolutely going to substitute. These are the same, just modified, or V2, V1 with a drum. I know circle drums, Jam, I know they're terrible, but they look really cool. Also, the weight of this thing would be horrible for aiming. All those bullets would be just dragging this down and making your left arm or your non-firing arm so heavy. But it looks cool and I'm going to use it.
So your team leader will have a long rifle, and then you'll have a rifleman with the carbine. That leaves the light machine gun. That's a whole lot of get some going on. For the regular infantry squads, the Marines are abandoning the 249 variants and are going for the M27. And history repeats itself as we go back to a magazine rather than drum-fed light machine gun. The theory being that you use accuracy instead of mass for suppression. For Pixie Company, I chose this Marauder's XM8, which was a failed US prototype rifle. It's got a magazine, but you can also swap it out for a drum. So what do we have right now? We've got a 3-person team, a team leader with rifle, a light machine gunner, and then a carbine rifleman. But the Pixies are going to need a lot more if they're going to fight tanks and infantry. Here's where you get to really play with your arms room. You can outfit them with anti-tank launchers, either heavy or light, maybe single use, maybe multi-use, some grenade launchers, either individual. I actually like the Marines. They use an individual grenade launcher rather than adding weight onto the rifle. You're not always going to need a grenade launcher, but you always need a rifle. Of course, there's my favorite weapon system, the flamethrower, or maybe a little extra protection with a shield. I mean, shields aren't the most practical, but they're really cool. You can either give it to your second highest ranking team member who has more experience and more skill, or you can give it to the most junior enlisted of the team and make them carry the extra weight.
Alright, I didn't quite make it through my second squad, only 2 teams before I started running out that type of buck. I recognize that my ranks are very homogenous and not doing a good job with xenodiversity, so I will mix in the Halo aliens next. I also gave him this Fortnite chainsaw sword because it's really cool and I want to see him hack into somebody with it. Given the pool that I have left here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I don't even have enough for a full other squad just with this uniform type, which means eventually we're gonna have to mix in some wild cards. Okay, I want the squad leader to be able to reach out and touch someone. So I'm going to have her, in this case, carry a rifle as well. And then she is going to also be responsible for the coordinating the squad's fires or coordinating the entire squad. So she needs some sort of advanced communications. It's assumed that they all have some sort of intracom that they're talking to, but this one will let her reach out and talk to the platoon and possibly any of the fire support.
In a typical infantry platoon, you've got a weapons squad. In this case, the weapons squad is going to be made of power armor, because why not? And just like other weapon squads, this is going to be composed of heavy machine guns and some heavy anti-tank weapons. I am a big believer in recoilless rifles, so I'm going to supplement those with your regular missile launch systems. The weapon squad main purpose is to lay down suppressive fire for your maneuver squads to get in close. Oh yeah, and absolutely wreck stuff. And that is a mechanized infantry platoon out of Pixie Company. I did include some other roles like platoon leader, platoon sergeant, and the medic. I'd love to do more of these type of videos going into different organizations, different nations, maybe even some armor or some aviation. And if you guys can hit like, that lets me know that you're enjoying these type of videos and I'll keep pumping out more of them.